Hi, my name is Abraham and I'm your big brother in recovery, coming back to you with hopefully another educational video that will help you as you're on your pursuit or in your pursuit to achieving sustainable sobriety. If you haven't already signed up for our channel, please do so now by pressing the subscribe button, and also I would humbly appreciate if you would also click the like and share this video with our friends that are in recovery. You know, I don't want to prolong the time. I want to get right to it because I think I have something else exciting for you right now. You know, and I want to give a shout out to all our friends that are quarantining themselves, especially those of us, I'm included in that are essential workers that are out here helping individuals while we're going through these times of calamity or these perilous times. And I want you to know that God will see us through. He always does, right? So without further ado, I'd like to draw your attention to the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. As you know, if you've been following me for any length of time, I attempt to limit my opinions because opinions are like garbage cans, and I attempt to teach from the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, so without that being said, while you're getting your book and or listening to this and you can replay it later, I'd like to draw your attention to something that some of you may know. And for those of you who don't know, I'll recap the story. As you know, Bill W. had a sponsor. His sponsor was a guy by the name of Ebby. Ebby's last name was Thatcher. And Ebby was already a member of the Oxford group. And Bill was going through tremendously. He was relapsing, he was chronic. He was also diagnosed as pretty much on his way to either the asylum, because they didn't have at that time residential treatment facilities, they had detox, and or the undertaker. As a matter of fact, his wife Lois had been given two alternatives. Which one should come first, the asylum and or the undertaker? So as Lois was at work, Bill is sitting at home getting ready to do what he does, and that is live to drink and drink to live, because he was a real alcoholic, not a moderate or a temperate drinker. And I want to pick the story up on the bottom of page 8 in Bill's story, where it talks about the telephone rang. And if you notice the bottom of the page on page 8, this is Ebby calling him. My musing was interrupted by the telephone. That sounds like divine intervention. The cheery voice of an old friend asked if he might come over. That was Ebby. Now notice what he said in italicized print. He was sober. Notice something that was interesting. Ebby had already been committed to an insane asylum, but notice what it says. It was years since I could remember him coming to New York in that condition. What condition? Sober. I was amazed. Rumor or the streets had it that he had been committed for alcoholic insanity. So Bill said, I wonder how he had escaped. So Bill's thinking is, well, since we drank in the past, we'll drink and we'll discuss it, and he'll tell me what this is all about. But I want to draw your attention down to page 9, and this will set the tone for our topic. Bill was shocked because Bill expected to see Ebby in the condition that he last recalled him in, which was active alcoholism. But notice he was sober, and notice what shocked Bill. He did no ranting, or he didn't a whole lot of preaching. He didn't do any of that. In a matter-of-fact way, Ebby told how two men from the Oxford group had appeared in court, persuading the judge to suspend his commitment. Notice what Ebby did. He told of a simple religious idea, step 2, and a practical program of action, step 3 through 12. Notice he said a religious idea, step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us back to sanity. and a practical or simple program of action. Step 3 through 12. That was 2 months ago, and the result was self-evident. It what? It worked. So in other words, as a result of Ebby making applicable what the Oxford group taught him, he got sober. And that's our goal. But notice what he said. He came to pass his experience along to me, if I cared to have it. This is what I want to get to. Bill said I was shocked, but interested. Certainly I was interested. I had to be, for I was hopeless. Now, page 17 tells us on the first page, on page 17, in the first paragraph, we of Alcoholics Anonymous know thousands of men and women who were once just as hopeless, like Bill said, as Bill. Nearly all have recovered. They've solved the drink problem. So this is the question I want to get to today, and this is the name of our topic. And you know, while we are quarantining ourselves and life seems to be at somewhat of a standstill, it's good to have some merriment or some joy and some fun. You know, our big book says on page 132, if you'll go to it real quickly, that, let's see, if you look at the bottom paragraph on page 132, the second one from the bottom. So we think cheerfulness and laughter make for usefulness. Outsiders are sometimes shocked when we burst into merriment or joy over a seemingly tragic experience out of the past. But why shouldn't we laugh? We've recovered and have been given the power to help others. You know, laughter is a sign of recovery. You know, I'm no longer restless, irritable, and discontent. I'm currently happy, joyous, and free, even though we live in these uncertain times. Now, with saying that, I want to bring you to something that you may not have noticed. On page 10, he said, I was shocked. What was he shocked at? What Ebby told him. But notice what he said. But I was interested. Why was he interested? He said, I was interested. I had to be, for I was hopeless. Oh, that's the number one thing, to be recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And the next thing I want you to notice that he said is that when he came to him, he brought him a simple religious idea and a practical program of action. Action. Faith without works is dead. So you can have the solution, step 2, but no action, and that will prevent you from getting the results. Like they said, faith is simply acting on what you believe. So I have to act on step 2, but I have to believe and trust the process. So here is the question that I want to ask. And it's not derogatory by any means, because you know I'm into empowerment and not enslavement. And you know, if you notice, I never use profanity because I was told by my sponsor that profanity is a strong expression made by a very weak mind. So I can't expect blessings to come in my life by cursing. Now that's just for me. I'm not saying that about anybody else, right? I'm just talking about for me. You know, everything is permissible, but only a certain amount of things are acceptable for me. And none of us are perfect. However, I am striving for spiritual progress, not spiritual perfection, because I don't think it's obtainable. The title of today's video is simply this: Get off your butt. I want to repeat that. Get off your butt. Now, I'm not talking about the thing that you sit on, even though our literature says we got to stop resting on our laurels, our seat. I'm not talking about B-U-T-T. I'm talking about B-U-T. In other words, what is your big that's stopping you from the breakthrough. Let's keep looking. Page 13 is a continuation to what Ebby said. Watch this. My friend, last paragraph on 13, talking about but. My friend Ebby, I'm paraphrasing, promised that when these things were done, what things? The simple religious idea and this program of action, I would enter upon a new relationship with my Creator. Why? Because I'm attempting to recover a relationship and not to recover stuff. Because no relationship, no recovery. With my Creator, that I would have the elements of a way of living which answered all my problems, not some of them, all. Belief in the power of God plus enough willingness, honesty, and humility, watch this, to establish and maintain the new order of things were the essential requirements. Now notice what he's going to say in the next paragraph. Simple but not easy. You know, I often say recovery is hard, but it shouldn't be difficult. Why? It's a simple program for complicated people. A price had to be paid. It meant the destruction of self-centeredness. We understand the opposite of self-centeredness is God-centeredness. Why? Self-will, self-thinking, run riot. I must turn in all things to the Father of lights who provides or presides over us all. Now watch this. These were revolutionary and what? Drastic proposals. What were the revolutionary and drastic proposals? You ready for this? The simple religious idea and the practical program of action. But notice what Bill said. Plural, proposals. But, there's that big but. But the moment I fully accepted them, the effect was electric. There was a sense of victory followed by such a peace and serenity as I felt lifted up as though the great clean wind of a mountaintop blew through and through. Notice this, another but. God comes to most men gradually, but his impact on me was sudden and profound. You know why I think his impact was sudden and profound on Bill? Because he said it in the first sentence of that paragraph. But the moment I fully accepted them, the effect was electric. So, what's the big but that's keeping you from fully accepting the revolutionary and drastic proposals that Ebby shared with Bill on the bottom of page 9? In other words, step 2 through 12. Notice what he said at the bottom of page 14. My friend, Ebby, had emphasized the absolute necessity of demonstrating these principles in all my affairs. Notice he didn't say steps, because behind every step there's a principle. Why? The principles change our personalities. Why? Our personalities are learned behavior, right? Like step 4 says, liquor was but a symptom. We had to get down to causes and conditions. Particularly was it imperative to work with others as he had worked with me. Faith without works was dead, he said. And how appallingly true for the alcoholic. For if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through the work and self-sacrifice with others, he could not survive the certain trials and low spots ahead. That's what's going on now. I'm hearing some really bad but encouraging things on the other end, but some people are relapsing based upon some things that are occurring in our world right now, which we have no control over, and we have to reinforce. We have to know the difference between what we can control, which is everything internally, and what we cannot control, which is everything externally. If he did not work, he would surely drink again. And if he drank, he would surely die. Then fate would be dead indeed. With us, it was just like that. So what I'd like to do is leave you with a question. And the question is simply this. What is the big but, or what is your big but, B-U-T, that's standing in the way of you accepting, like page 14 says, the revolutionary and drastic proposals outlined on page 60. Oh, give me a second here. Matter of fact, outlined on page 59. These are the drastic and revolutionary proposals. But notice, the moment you fully accept them, the effect is going to be electric. And here are the proposals. Notice what it says. Here are the steps or drastic proposals which are suggested as a program of recovery. You have to go through these. Why? I'll conclude with this. Let's look at how it works and notice what it says. Last paragraph on the page. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier and softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough when from the very start at once. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, but the result was nil until we let go. Absolutely. You know, I hope moving forth, this video will inspire you or make you inquisitive about discovering your big butt so you can get off of it and ask yourself, what is preventing you from taking the necessary actions to move forward? Because the first 3 steps, we can do those in 5 minutes. But notice what our book says on page 63, the bottom of the page. Next, we launched out on a course of vigorous action, the first step of which is a personal house cleaning. See, you can't launch something without power. That's why you're no longer powerless, because you get power back in order to move forward. Matter of fact, powerlessness was our problem, page 45. Notice what it says next, which many of us had never attempted. Many people that I know have never did a 4th step. Though our decision, step 3, was a vital and crucial step, it can have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and to be rid of the things in ourselves which have been blocking us. Why? Our liquor was but a symptom, so we had to get down to causes and conditions. What's causing you to stop looking at what's really happening to you? Are you really thinking about what you're thinking about? Because there is a big but that's stopping you from taking action and going past step 3 and getting off into the practical program of action that they outlined in the book. You know, I hope you come to the revelation on what it is. This is a great time if you're quarantining yourself at home, because you can't be distracted by going to groups right now because of the social distancing. And in some instances, it may for some be a positive, but in some instances, it may be a negative. So I'm not saying either or. All I'm saying is make use of the time, because nothing gets better in time. Like the Whispers lied and said, it only gets better when you make use of the time. So make use of this time right now while you're quarantining yourself, and take the time to look at what your big butt is so you can get off it. Look, this is your big brother in recovery, Abraham, coming at you saying, look, I love you. Stay safe out there. Please share these videos with your friends. If you haven't subscribed, I'm asking that you do, and help us help you the best way that we can, and that is by offering suggestions to newcomers on how to achieve sustainable sobriety. Look, I love you, and stay safe out there, okay? Talk to you soon. Bye.